There we go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Peoria Proud's InQueery Teach-In webinar. I'm River Russell, my pronouns are he, him, and I'll be your host for the evening. This ongoing series serves as a way to bring knowledgeable professionals to a wide audience on a host of different subjects concerning the LGBTQ community and will be recorded for posterity. After the presentation, we'll open it up for Q&A. Tonight's inquiry is on allyship and family. With Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas just around the corner, we thought this would be a good time to review how to show up for your family. So I'd like to start by providing some background on your presenters tonight. PFLAG National is the oldest ally organization in our country. It was founded by the mom of a gay son. She saw a need to spread education and foster love for queer folks. PFLAG Peoria, the Peoria chapter specifically, is made up primarily of parents of the LGBTQIA+ community who wish to support their children and provide an environment of love and acceptance in their surrounding communities. PFLAG Peoria strives to educate themselves and others on the struggles, dreams, goals, and wishes of their LGBTQIA+ children and their community. Thank you, PFLAG Peoria, so much for being here tonight. That's all from me. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to you. After the presentation, we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, River. We are PFLAG, mostly parents of children in the community, and we've each kind of taken a theme to speak on. And our first speakers are Gary and Tina, and I'll let you guys take it from here.
Hello, my name is Gary and my wife Tina. We've been with PFLAG Peoria since I think January or December, and been on the board almost that same amount of time. Basically we're going to cover just what starts the journey for most parents, and that is when your child comes out to you. We are the parents of a transgender daughter who came out roughly, 6 years ago-ish, 6-7 years ago. A long time.
It feels like it now.
And it can be a stressful situation all around. Everybody's story is different. For us, I know, and for a lot of people, it can kind of come out of left field. And you're surprised, you're shocked, you don't know what to do. The main thing is just react with love. And keep in mind that even though they are telling you now who they are, they have been building up to this moment. It's been incredibly stressful for them. Our daughter was so stressed after about a half hour to 45 minutes of trying to tell us, she ended up just texting it to us and running downstairs and started crying. So it's a very big deal for them, as it is for you. But the main thing is just, like I said, just to react with love, comfort them, let them know first and foremost that you're here for them, that you still love them no matter what. It is okay to process your own feelings. Your own feelings are going to be valid too. How you react is very important to them, obviously, but you are entitled to feel some sense of, hey, I had this plan, for my kid, and now it's just gone topsy-turvy. If you get a chance, you should check out on the PFLAG National YouTube page speaker. It was Carrie, am I saying that right? Carrie Payton did a wonderful speech about his child coming out, and it just really speaks to all of us and how this affects us too. But change isn't a bad thing, and watching them become their true selves, is worth the ride.
I think it's important to remember that as they're talking to you, they, odds are, don't have it all figured out yet, exactly what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what their goals are. So to try to remember to stay calm and listen, and you don't have to say anything. You can just respond with a hug. you can just listen to hear what they need right now. And then hopefully as they go along, they'll continue to tell you what they need in the future. When our daughter first came out, she was convinced there were a number of things she did not want. She wasn't going to do X, Y, and Z. And over the years, as she's grown into who she is, that's completely changed. And her goals are different. And they're not bad goals. They all were valid goals then, and they are valid goals now. They're just different goals. And we just evolve and love her and do our best to support her as those goals change and what she wants.
Yeah, as you go on your journey together, just take small steps and tackle one thing at a time. It's the best way to do it. And just adjust as you go along. It's okay to rule out other options. Like for our daughter, when she first told us, she said, in her text to us actually said, "I'm not sure, but I think I might be more of a girl than a boy." So a lot of times they're still figuring this out too. And so we went and kind of had a checklist, not because we wanted to say, no, you're not really trans, you're probably this. But we wanted to say, okay, is it that you like wearing women's clothes? Is it that you are attracted to a certain, person that you weren't before? Let's rule out all these things. Try small steps. Our daughter started wearing some more feminine clothes around the house first, and
Not sure made her happy.
yes, and watch their reactions to as you do these small steps. See how it affects them.
And we did make sure that we engaged with a licensed gender therapist to make sure that she was getting the proper support and information that she needed to make important decisions. So just because they've come out to you doesn't mean you are in alone. There are millions of experts and other parents and resources, and sometimes it's a little hard to find them. That's why PFLAG is here to help you find those resources if you need them. And I feel like finding those resources for ourselves, our daughter came out during COVID, so it was a little challenging at first, but once we had those, we felt so much more comfortable and confident that we were making the right decisions for our child, and with our child, I should say, because she was 16 at the time. She was definitely making decisions for herself for a large portion of it. So.
And yeah, along the way, just the best way that you can help them starting off and going forward is just to learn all that you can. When our daughter first came out, I wasn't entirely sure if trans feminine meant a boy who became a girl or the other way around. It's a learning process for everyone involved. And make sure that you seek out actual factual information. Again, PFLAG can help you with that. There are numerous resources on our website, and us here that can help you out with anything that you need. That's what we do, is we're here to support parents on their journey.
And if there's anyone on the call that is concerned about coming out to their parents, I'm embracing you. And just know you're not alone in the world, and there are people that care about you, and hopefully everything will go smoothly.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of families don't have the open communication, that some of us do. So it can be definitely challenging. And again, yes, if you need help, as far as coming out to people, please let us know. We can try and offer some tips, some things that we've heard that have worked for people. It can be a challenging process overall, but the end result is just so worth it. It can also be difficult when you're first starting out, because there will be people that you will be out to. I'm talking more specifically for the parents now, but also for the child. But there are going to be certain people that you've told and certain people that you haven't told, and it can be confusing and challenging to keep those straight when you're talking to people. So really just kind of sit back and take note of who knows who is safe to talk to, who you need to hold off on, and who maybe you don't want to talk to because they talk to these people. So that could be a very challenging part as well. But coming out to everyone should be, the decision of the person that's coming out.
Our daughter came out to us at least a year or a year and a half before she came out socially to our extended family and any friends and school friends and things like that. So, yeah, it was a little secret in our house to make sure she was safe and ready when she decided to come out to the rest of the world.
And as parents, sometimes you just have to tell that one person that you trust too. You can, it could be hard to keep that to yourself.
Especially if you need support.
Yes, exactly, because that happens to everyone, and you need support, they need support, and there's a period where you might not know who you can count on, and you might lose some people, but you might gain a whole new family too. So the just main important takeaway from this is just to listen to your child, support them in every step of the way, and just grow and learn together. And like I said, the end result makes it all worthwhile. Anything else to add?
I think that's fantastic. I think that for the people that are watching that are thinking about coming out, it's always hard. I was already on the board of PFLAG when my youngest daughter told me that she thought that she might be bi or even a lesbian, and she still cried. And I was like, I don't care. That's fantastic. Bring home whoever you love, and I will love them with you. But it's a big life change for everyone. And so be patient with yourself, be patient with your family.
And be patient with your child.
And be patient, yeah, exactly. Amy and Doug are going to speak to extended family that might be less supportive than you want to be with your children and how to handle those people.
Right, exactly. So, pop and say hi.
You can have some voice in the background here. You can reply with your computer.
Hello, everyone. I've been sitting off to the side trying to make sure the technology still works accordingly. So my name is Doug Ward. This is my wife, Amy. When we talk about extended family, I think you guys have really done a good job kind of laying the groundwork for us that a lot of this really comes down to this is about your child and this is their journey, this is their story, and letting them kind of drive that. The challenge that we face is as soon as your child comes out to you, we as parents start automatically thinking, okay, who do I tell first? Who do I tell next? And at that point, as Amy and I were talking on the way, as we were preparing for this, you kind of have to put the brakes on and say, okay, I don't tell anybody until they tell me it's okay. And what you're going to find is this is a process. You're not going to come out to everyone in the world. You're not going to come out to everybody in the family at once. You're good, bad, or otherwise, you're going to get to do this multiple times. The first couple times will be scary, but as you do this more often, you kind of get a little more comfortable, you get a little more confidence built up, it becomes easier. And I'm going to pass the baton off to you.
Excellent, thank you.
Go back to Monica.
Thank you. Yes, so as Doug said, I'm Amy Warwick, and we also are the proud parents of a lovely transgender daughter. And when she came out, much like you, we were, now what, So I found a group online of other parents, other moms specifically. It's called Free Hearts, FREEDHEARTS.org. And I'm just going to throw out some good resources for you right now, because when we got ready to tell people, we had our resources, we had done our research, and we were ready, as ready as we could be. So freehearts.org used to charge for their resources, and they have a whole bunch of great resources out there. They recently got a huge grant. Everything on their website is free. And they have an online private moms group. And so as soon as our daughter told us, first that she was bisexual, then that she was transgender, I joined one of these groups. And because I had done some research, when she said she was ready to start telling grandparents and tell her sister, I had expressed, my concerns to the other moms in this group. And they had all sorts of great suggestions. And the one that we cobbled together was when we went to see our parents, my parents, those parents, we had like a folder of information. We had this is what's going on. This is our child's name. Your grandchild's name is, and unfortunately in today's climate, I'm not going to share what that is. So sadly, that's where we are. But in any case, we shared who our child is, and this is why it's important that you support our child. And then we had difficult asks that we had to make, and that was if you're not going to support our child as the person that she is, then you're not going to be part of her life. And we told every person in our family that we had this conversation with the same thing. If you cannot respect our child enough and love our child enough to call her by the name that she is and see her for who she is, then you're not going to see her, period. And yeah, we lost some people. And that might happen in your families too. But we chose to put our child first. And I suspect you will too. It's sometimes they come back around. And I also want to say, don't be afraid to tell people. Okay? Don't pre-imagine how someone is going to react. Don't put actions into someone. You're not their playwright. Okay? So you can't say, oh, I'm not going to tell Uncle Bob because I know how Uncle Bob is going to react. And then you might find out that Uncle Bob actually loves to go to pride parades, but he's never told anyone else in the family because he's afraid of how they'll react. So you never know. Or you might think I'm going to tell Aunt Kathy because she's going to be great. And then it turns out Aunt Kathy is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And she's not going to be the one who's going to be supportive. And you might have to just let Aunt Kathy go off and do her own thing for a while until she comes back around. But again, when you go to talk to people, as they were saying, lead with love.
One thing I'm going to just kind of lean into the camera here for a second to pick up what Amy's saying. A lot of these, people will surprise you. There are some people that will respond the way that you are anticipating, and there are people who respond completely differently. If someone responds in a negative way or not in the way that you had hoped, rather than writing off that relationship and saying, well, that's it, that's done, it's better to think of it as just putting that relationship on pause, because a lot of times people will come around, they'll get additional information, they'll realize that other members of the family who are supportive, they'll talk to them, and they may come around. So rather than just say that relationship's been written off and it's done, think of it more like just putting it on pause for now, because people will come around, they will start getting it, and because we've had that happen as well.
Yes, definitely. And I just, I said a couple of resources that I wanted to mention. The one was, of course, Free Hearts. Also, of course, PFLAG.org. PFLAG.org actually has a great little booklet for grandparents. And like I said, we were prepared when we went to talk to our parents, and we had this folder with all these resources. At the time, PFLAG didn't have a booklet on grandparents. we probably would have tucked it in there if they had.
Absolutely.
And we also had something that I read that was so helpful to me that I then have passed along to other people. Well, there's two. There's one, and you can't search for this. I will have to just send you a link, River or somebody. There's a pediatrician. Her name is Joni Lee Jack. She's a pediatric surgeon, and she wrote a blog article, and it was called Unfolding Miracles, and it talks about how children form in the womb. And I mean, when you've got somebody who's doubting that people being transgender is a thing, she goes through and she explains the biology of how it absolutely is. And that was very helpful to me, and I printed it off and I put it in that little folder that I then handed out. And then also, if you still have people saying, well, that's not real, you just tell them about, and I always forget the country, the Dominican Republic. In the Dominican Republic, there is a village up in the hills. And in this village, there are guavadoches. And the guavadoches are the children. And all of the children in this little village, when they are born, they appear female. Every single one. And then, when they turn about 11 or 12, some of them develop male anatomy. So there.
Bet you didn't learn that in 5th grade science.
I sure did not. So, yeah, just be prepared. So the people you're closest to, you need to be most prepared for. Those are the ones you really want to salvage those relationships. And having that support group of the people in Free Hearts and then the people in PFLAG, you can kind of workshop what you're going to say. So like when we first came out to my parents. We drove down to Florida to tell them in person. Our daughter did not go with us. She chose to stay behind. And my dad said, oh, well, transgender people never get jobs. And we were new to this. I didn't have any actual case studies to say, well, that's certainly not true. I just said, I think you're wrong about that. And then I got on my little website and I said, quick, I need to know. And suddenly I had like pages and pages of, oh, well, this person does this, and they're all high ranking. I said, see, you're wrong, Dad. So, and again, of course, PFLAG too. It's important, as you were saying, to have that support group. Have the support group with your friends and other people who are walking a similar path, and it's going to help. We're here. We're all here to help one another. We're all here to help you if you need it. We'll get through it. You'll get through it, and it's going to be great. I want to say that when our child first came out, she hung out in her room a lot and didn't say much of anything. And now she's having house parties. She's got way more friends than any of us have. So she's amazing. So yeah, it's a journey none of us expected to take, but it's a journey well worth taking. Thank you.
And then I'm left with how to handle school, which can be a nightmare if you have school administrators that are not supportive. And I think the first and most important thing I'm going to say about this is that any child that receives support at home, that has a soft place to land at the end of their school day, will become more resilient from the hardships they face at school instead of traumatized by those. So the most important thing you can do for a child that's going into an environment that's not supportive every day is make sure that you're there to listen and to feel their emotions with them when they get home. Make sure that they have a therapist. Make sure that you have a therapist. You do have legal rights to their protection. They have rights to be protected at school. And you need to advocate for them and with them. Just make sure that they lead that, especially if they are in high school. They need to know how to advocate for themselves as well. Make sure that they have activities outside of the school with like-minded peers so that they do have supportive relationships, even if they are struggling in school. They have something to do after school where they are making connections, where they are feeling a part of the group. These things can help no matter what they have to do during the school day. Make sure when you advocate for your kids in school that you don't do it from a place of anger and frustration. Because when you start getting angry with the administration, they are human beings and they're going to take that out on your child when you're not there. Try to be respectful and just try to keep talking, keep explaining where your child is coming from, what their needs are, that they need to be safe from bullies, that the other students in the school need to understand where they're coming from. Repetitive, positive language is what's important. And gather your other parents around you. Don't do this alone because your child is not the only LGBTQ plus child in that school. There's just no way. It's not a thing. So find the other parents. Make sure that if there's not a GSA, you start one. Make sure that you find an LGBTQ plus drop-in youth group. There are 2 here in Peoria. One of them is our Q Collective. Make sure that you continue to reach out to support for yourself as well, because feeling like you're sending your child into an adversarial environment is extremely traumatic for parents as well. And so make sure that you're caring for yourself as well as caring for your child. Ashley Fisher has sent a list of resources that River, we will make sure that we get to you, that people can look up, that you can link to this recording. And I think with that, we can open it up for questions.
Thank you so much for all of that. If anyone has any questions, they can submit them online. They'll come through our chat and I can read them out to you. But in the meantime, I have some questions of my own. So Thea, just based off of what you were just saying, you're talking about the importance of making sure you're not advocating from a place of frustration. And that immediately made me think of my mom and how her mama bear instincts can come out. So I was wondering if you could talk about how to balance that parental instinct with making sure you're calm and collected and advocating in an effective way.
I think the answer to that is dependent on the age of the child. If you are advocating for your child in a grade school or middle school setting, you need to do it with the child not there so that they don't hear anything adversarial that comes out from either party. You need to make sure that you have felt your feelings before you go into that meeting. And I used to bring treats to my meetings with the school. I would pass out Snickers bars or something. I would start from a place of, I like the way that you do this, and I like the way that you do that. But here is where my child is struggling, and here is what my child needs help with. When you get into high school, your child should be with you. And you should make sure before you go in that anything that you are preparing to say, your child is okay with. Because at that point, they are old enough that you shouldn't be saying things they are uncomfortable with. And so if you go in with them in front of you, and you stand behind them or beside them, and you only speak up when it's necessary, then you're allowing them to learn to self-advocate, and you're allowing them to become more resilient to an adversarial situation because they know you're right there with them, but you're not taking it over. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and I love that. It's really resonating with me. And I don't know if I wrote it down into one of my questions, but really resonating with how you're saying, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought because I was looking back through my questions. It'll come back to me.
Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll come back to me. I'll go back to my list because jumping around is obviously not working. How has the relationship with your child changed since they came out?
Oh, goodness. I don't, so for our daughter, she was always fairly open with us. She's not very talkative. She's level 1 on the spectrum. So she's not a talker per se, but she is communicate in writing and art and things like that. Over the years, she has actually developed more ability to speak and be more confident in her speaking. So that has actually brought us closer, I feel like, because I'm able to understand her a little better because I mostly use words. So that has definitely helped in my being able to ask her about how she's feeling about things, where she's at, what her goals are, how can I help. The thing I think has impressed me the most about her growth is we did have some issues with some family members not fully embracing her status, and we had told her at this point she was over 18, and we said we are 100% behind whatever you decide, but we're not going to decide for you. Your relationship with these individuals is your own. And so she took it upon herself to, send an email and express herself very eloquently, I might say. And it was really an amazing thing to see this child, when as a child she couldn't even order a hamburger at McDonald's, go to this person. So I feel like my respect for her has just grown immensely.
Absolutely, yeah. The level of confidence. We're talking about, a girl who's pretty tall to begin with, and never really wanted to stand out. And a couple of years down the road, and she's searching out the boots with the highest heels and just wearing what she wants, and just she knows who she is, and she's confident and proud, and
It's great to see.
yeah, absolutely.
It makes me less scared in my heart.
Yes.
That's amazing. And hearing you say that, my older sibling is trans, so I kind of am thinking, I'm kind of processing your whole presentation through the lens of like me being an ally in my family, watching my older sibling transition, kind of how my family reacted to all of that. And yeah, just the way that my parents' interaction and relationship with my sibling has changed since they've come out is a complete like 180. So I always love hearing about the family bonding and family growth.
As far as like reaching out and telling close relatives and grandparents and all that, it's okay to give them a little bit of a leash because, a lot of times we know already and have had time to process, whereas you don't want to go up and be like, okay, this is how it is, you're either on board or you're not. Because this is a big thing for them too, especially if they've been involved in the child's life. And it can be a delicate balance and giving them some leeway, but also at some point being like, okay, where are we at on this now? So sometimes they turn it around and are amazing, and like Amy said, will just completely surprise you. Others need a little more work. So
that was actually leading into one of my next questions. which is how do you kind of balance wanting to advocate for your kid and talking and explaining the process to your extended family while also kind of respecting their boundaries and letting them advocate for themselves. Like, how do you balance that?
So, well, that's gonna, again, depend on how old they are, of course. Yeah, so, but really, again, we're not going to start telling anybody until our child is ready for that conversation to happen. And we had our child leading the way every step of the way. So when we talked to our parents, we had her blessing first. And she said, how did it go? And we said, this is how it is. And, they're all accepting, it's great. And they wanted to learn, and our daughter said she was willing to help with that process, which was amazing. And she has been very patient. But it's hard to generalize and say this is what you do in every situation, of course, right? So I also have a crazy aunt. Her name's not Kathy. And she's the one that I told her first, and I thought she's going to be easy, and she was not. And
How it always goes.
yeah, she actually somehow she got a hold of our daughter's contact information and was preaching at her. And so at that point, I was done with, you're not advocating for yourself anymore. It's time for Mama Bear to come. And so that's what happened there. But it is, again, a case by case. I mean, I would have been more than happy to let Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs continue to try and learn, but she crossed the line by coming after my child. So, I mean, the minute someone starts coming for our child, on camera, so, but I mean, the minute someone, if it starts becoming dangerous for my child, I'm stepping in.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter how old she is, that's just how it is. She's always gonna be.
I feel like it depends on where, I'll use the word power because I'm not entirely sure that that's the word I want, but where the power lies. So if you're talking about someone who is viewed as more adult than the person that's coming out, I feel like the balance of power sometimes lies with that person. And if I feel like my child is being put in a corner where they can't defend themselves, you're gonna see some claws. Yeah, because of the balance of power, that idea of punching up or down. If all I see is my child getting punched down on, then you put a stop to that.
Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question, River, but it's like,
And I think it's important just to one, follow their lead, see what they're comfortable telling and who they're comfortable telling. And also just let them know that no matter who you tell, no matter what they say or how much, you're on their side.
Yeah.
And you say, if this person, doesn't come around to it, we will side with you. You are the important one to us, and it will suck big time, but we are there for you, and we will support whatever you decide 100%.
And I think just language around the house in general about the community at large is important too, because while I may not be talking about my own daughter, or maybe I'm just talking about a gay person in general, or somebody that I saw on the TV, an actor, somebody, making sure I'm using the correct language, the correct pronouns, the correct positive language. So it's not just, well, my child's special and they're the best one and the rest of them are conditional struggle. I think having her hear me support the community at large is also important to her. I think it helps her know that being part of this community isn't some sort of bad thing. there's nothing bad about it. It's a beautiful thing. And so when we're supportive of the community at large, we're supporting her as well.
Oh, we can't hear
Oh,
you.
no, we
lost audio.
Again, shoot,
And I think it's just,
What happened?
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Perfect.
yeah.
That was a great answer, though. That was exactly. And you actually segued into another one that I wanted to ask, which is what language or phrases did you learn to avoid or start using to show your support?
I think with our daughter, when she was very first coming around to all this, we tried different pronouns for like, oh, we'll say, we'll try this for a week or two, then we'll move to this. Let's see what is comfortable for you. So that was a thing, and that can be hard to remember, especially when you've got 16 years of he in your head, and now all of a sudden you're
You find yourself changing all the pronouns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody that was ever a he
yes,
or she.
our dogs all became she's overnight.
Or just not using pronouns.
Yeah.
Yes,
Change
exactly.
all the time, so you don't have to worry.
Everyone's a they.
Or you start overcompensating, I think, a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can't think of any specific examples, but I know there are things that you just might say, like, not derogatory, but just things that you might say in everyday talk that you don't even really think about, that you have to kind of change your way of thinking. And oh wait, I said that, I probably shouldn't have said that. And if it's ever a question, you can always say, okay, is this offensive? Should I, we're learning too. What can I say? What can I not say? So typically Reddit, I find, is a good resource for people that'll be honest on things that are do's and don'ts. So.
Well, and Savvy Ally is a great book
yes.
that gives some good information for anybody that's learning how to be supportive, I think. And it reads so nicely.
It does.
It's not boring, so.
It is a good resource.
Yes, yeah, but, and constantly learning. It's not something that you learn once and you're done. Not just for your child, but for the community at large and for our society at large, to learn constantly how to be more accepting and constantly about the things that you may be raised with that you don't even realize are in your head that may be bigoted or hurtful to someone and you never thought about it. So that is a constant learning process just across the board.
Yeah, that's what I found to be the most valuable, is just be open to learning anything. Because I know I don't have all the answers, and hopefully my child doesn't expect me to have them, but they know that I'm more than happy to go digging for answers. So I will go and try to learn everything I can as quickly as I can once we identify a gap.
And feel free to apologize. if
No,
you make a
yes,
mistake.
100%. Do not be afraid to apologize to your child when you screw it up.
Yep.
And you will.
Yeah, you definitely
You
will.
will
Many
occasionally.
things, like-
And eventually they'll get to the point where you screwed up and you'll say, I'm so sorry. And they'll be like, no, just stop
Stop
apologizing.
apologizing.
Just move on.
Pretend like you didn't say it. Let's just keep going.
We had a family member that was all upset because the DVD release of the Muppet Show had a little 10-second disclaimer at the beginning saying, hey, when this show was made, there were certain stereotypes, that were used that are offensive today. And it just seems to me the honest thing to be up in arms against, because times change, language changes, and that's why, as Thea said, it's a constantly evolving process. What you grew up with, there's a lot of things, God, looking back at all the cartoons we watched that we didn't think anything of
Oh
it
my
as
goodness.
kids, and now we look at it like, oh my God. But, to people in those groups, it might mean something. So just keeping an ear out for things that, that change as far as, verbiage goes. It's just, a constant process.
What are some ways that you would say, because I know especially as a parent, it's really easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day like stress and hullabaloo of everything that's going on. What are some ways that people can stay up to date on this like changing language and changing culture?
Feedback does have a glossary on their website, though. I will
Yes,
say that has been
absolutely.
helpful. I also find I'm one of those weird old people that likes to watch young people shows, which helps me understand my young people. There are some really great TV shows that my kids watch, and they're like, "You should watch this," and so I watch it. It helps me understand them. It helps me understand the little bits of language that they're using. I'm not trying to necessarily co-opt that language or even necessarily learn to speak it, but it helps me at least understand them. So when they come to me and say, "Hey, watch this show, it's really amazing," I want to watch the show because that will help me understand them. So I find myself looking for things by young people that have been put out either on YouTube or, just about their own documentaries about them coming out, things like that, that help me understand and get a definitional language that I can use with my two kids.
And I think spending time with your kids.
Yes.
Like whenever my kids are home, we go out to lunch. We have a mom day, I call it, and they get to go wherever they want. And they all have their special place they like to go with me. And we have lunch or we have treats and coffee and we talk. And I ask all of those questions. I ask deep questions about what's going on with their roommates and what's going on in their college and, how are they feeling about all these different things, whether it's their religious beliefs or problems they're having with the political climate. We get into those deep conversations and then you learn what their life is like because it's different from ours.
I will just say that just being part of PFLAG and being in touch with organizations like Peoria Proud and Acorn Equality and
Central
where are we?
Central
Center. I'm tired. This is past my bedtime. I'm just saying. I'm usually in bed by now.
We're going to disclaimer.
Opinions after 7 o'clock.
For sure. But anyway, I have just learned so much just from being in the community.
Yeah.
And yes, PFLAG. Because there's a lot of videos and the resources online and
our monthly speakers.
and our speakers and just talking to even other parents and other members of the community who come to our meetings because of course our meetings are not just for parents.
They're for everyone
They're for
in the community
everyone.
and everyone who wants to support the community. Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's a constant process. And things that we possibly, I think this may have been a question mentioned before. I know that at one point, when our child had first come out, somebody said, "Oh, so now you want to be a girl." And what she said to me privately was, I don't want to be, I am.
Yeah.
And that was, that was a big.
Yeah.
So,
My oldest son, who is a pastor at an affirming church, said one time to me, we were in a meeting actually with several people, and he said, "All that I know is that I am cis and hetero, and I could not be anything else. I could not be attracted to a man. I could not be a woman. And so my assumption is that no matter what your identity or orientation are, they're not a choice, because mine is not a choice. So how could yours be?" And I think that's a great place to start from whenever you're having one of these conversations.
We lost your audio again, River. Sorry.
Oh,
How about now?
There we
you
go.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know what I was gonna say.
It had this in it.
Yeah.
It's okay. I do remember what I was gonna say earlier, which I just want to bring some emphasis back to this. Thea, whenever you were talking about um, maybe your kid might be struggling at school, and you really brought an emphasis to, hey, your kid is still going to survive those difficult interactions as long as they have a strong support system outside of it. So I really liked that you brought that up, because a lot of people will see their kids struggling and try to take them out of that or transfer schools. But I really like the emphasis of, no, your kid can work through that as long as they have your support.
Yeah.
So I just love
And
that.
they'll work through it better. They'll be more resilient if they can work through a problem rather than escaping it.
Yes.
Now, physical harm, that's a whole different level, right? I'm not talking about that, of course.
Yeah. Okay, I'll end on a happy question. What gives y'all hope about the next generation of LGBTQ plus young people?
They're so strong and they're so creative and they're so inclusive. Every time I go to a Peoria Proud event, I love how inclusive everyone is with everyone else. And I love the variety of people that you see. And they all dress exactly the way that they want to. And they all just are themselves and they're comfortable in their bodies. That's something that I wish I would have been raised in, you know? And I hold just a ton of hope for the future. And I think that these upcoming generations are in a much better place mentally than our generation or the generation preceding us.
Yeah.
So I'm very hopeful.
Did you see she pointed at me?
This is a timeline. This is back, that's forward, it's not you.
I think the confidence that some of the young people are showing right now. I helped out at the Pride Fest, and we've had some young people in with their parents at PFLAG, and the confidence and a surety of, this is who I am at such younger ages than I have seen before. I think it's beautiful for them to know that and be so strong in that. So it just means that they've been in a place where they can been allowed to explore that and think about that and to already know that. And I just think it's wonderful that, you know, to be at, you know, Pride Fest and they come up and they want their little pins with their pronouns and they know exactly who they are at such a young age. I just think that's amazing.
And I think that the more people that are out there now and more visible are giving the younger people a chance to see someone and say, yes, that's how I feel too. I can never put it into words or didn't know exactly what it was, but that makes total sense. And it's just a ball rolling down a hill. It's.
Honestly, if my husband has a family member who's lesbian, and knowing that we had that family member, we're like, well, if all else fails, at least we know we have them. You know, and so honestly, you know, it is generations building upon. So, you know, for older members of the community that are out there and maybe listening to this, you have fought and been seen with such strength that the younger people are no longer as afraid of being who they are. And I think it's just going to continue and snowball, and I think it's beautiful.
We're just breaking down barriers.
Yep.
Well, that's all that I had. Before we wrap things up, is there anything that we might not have touched on or any final words you want to say? Yeah.
The only thing that I want to say is that October is our membership drive month. So if you go to our new website that Gary built, you can become a member of PFLAG, and whether or not you choose to become a member, you're always welcome at our monthly meetings. They're the first Sunday of every month at 2:00. We have a monthly meetup with a speaker and sometimes activities and sometimes snacks. And we have Q Collective at the same time for youth from 11 to 18, and they always have activities and snacks. So, we're here if you need us.
Thank y'all so much. And keep up the good work. Y'all are doing so many good things in Peoria. And Amy, beyond Peoria. What'd you say? Is my sound working?
Too. You're doing
Okay.
great things too.
Peoria Province
Oh.
is doing great things.
Thank you. Y'all had me worried my mic wasn't working. It's all a community effort. But thank y'all so much for being here tonight. And I'm sure I'll see y'all within the next couple weeks or so.